All right, Chelsea fans, welcome back to another episode. That's right, of the London is Blue podcast. Hopefully, your favorite Chelsea podcast out there and a part of the Man in Blazers Media Network. Dan, one of your hosts here. And you know that if it is a day or two before a match, it's time for one of our wonderful match previews. Sometimes we could call it a review because the predictions can be that good, but with our good friend Sam, CFC Central. And this is for the return fixture of the match against Ipswich. Chelsea, unfortunately, one of the four teams that they have beaten this season, and we would like to flip the script fully and take away maximum points in the final 7 games of Chelsea's Premier League season. Sam, as we head into this one, how are you feeling about Chelsea's chances against a team that is definitely going down, 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 down?
Yeah, the reverse fixture was probably one of the worst that we've had this season, and probably should have come away with at least a point from that one. So hopefully, no repeats here. Would definitely think that after the results that we've had recently with the clean sheets and everything that we've done in the UEFA Conference League, that we'd probably go and get this job done. But you and I both know this, Dan, that this is a non-negotiable. We absolutely have to win this one because if anything other than that happens, then you're setting up yourself up for eventual heartbreak. You have to get to the fifth place now that it's confirmed as the Champions League spot. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of pressure on us as well. It's easy for them to go and play their game and expect nothing. Like you said, they're probably going down. But yeah, we genuinely have to throw the kitchen sink at this and hopefully get 3 points.
Yeah, I mean, just a reminder, Chelsea's remaining fixtures: Ipswich Town, Fulham away, Everton home, Liverpool at home, Newcastle away, Manchester United at home, and then Nottingham Forest away. Those other teams looking for a top 5 spot, one of those being Newcastle, which we will play. So that is a huge, huge match. But they have Manchester United remaining at home, Crystal Palace at home, Aston Villa away, Ipswich Town at home. They have Brighton at away, and then they have Chelsea at home, our fixture there, Arsenal away, and then Everton at home. And then Man City, who's just outside the top 5 right now, have Crystal Palace at home, Everton away, Aston Villa at home, Wolves at home, Southampton away, Bournemouth at home, and Fulham away. Definitely feels as if, even though Manchester City haven't had the most rocking form, that they are definitely the beneficiaries of a much easier walk into the end. Do you think it comes down to Chelsea, Newcastle, that match we play against each other, as long as both teams are getting their business? That to me feels like the decider in all of this. Sam, are you in agreement, disagreement, or do you have a different take?
I think everybody in the board has said that, including Matlow, that that one's a cup final, and it's a 6 pointer without a doubt. You have to go in and get that win. Fortunately, our record against Newcastle has been quite good. But yeah, when you've got a man like Alexander Isak on form, I mean, Jacob Murphy's now gone past 15 GA, so they're flying. There's no doubt about it. Sandro Tonali is back, so it's going to be a full strength Newcastle to face, and probably it's going to be one of the hardest games left in the season. Arguably the hardest game, I think, in my opinion. So genuinely going to be the one that could decide it. But yeah, we like Maraska would say, we have to focus on Ipswich first, get the job done, get those 3 points that we need to knock out. I think Ipswich, Fulham, those two have to be like genuinely 6 points. And then after that, we can look after Newcastle. Hopefully, we won't need those 3 points, but the best thing you can do right now is just progress slowly towards it and get as many wins as you can.
Well, maybe just peeking back at Ipswich Town's results, and we take a look at them. And, again, in these previews, we'll take a look at what the current form has been, maybe any underlying issues. We'll talk about the what has changed since the last time we played that team, and obviously, I think a lot has changed for this Ipswich Town team. And then we'll talk about maybe ways that Maresca and team are going to go after some of the weaknesses that they have before we make some predictions. But in the last couple fixtures, unsurprisingly, they've lost a bunch, though they did have one, maybe a shock win. I'll let you react to that in a second, in a moment here, Sam. Last match was a 2-1 loss to Wolves away. They had the 2-1 victory to Bournemouth away. They lost 4-2 to Nottingham Forest, and they lost 1-0 to Crystal Palace. I guess, you could argue too that they did have the advancement on penalties, or say they lost in the advancement on penalties against Nottingham Forest as well, 5-4, losing that one. So their march into April now has not been great, but that's kind of been the tone of their season. Any thoughts just maybe about those last couple fixtures that they've had?
Yeah, so I did watch the Bournemouth game because that stood out as a shock for me, and it looked like it was going to be a good day for Bournemouth, but um, the stats sort of told a different story and ended up like completely going the other way. What they have done very well, Ipswich, whenever they've gone to win games, is they've been clinical. I think they scored with both their shots on goal that day, and Liam Delap in the kind of form that he is, you give him one opportunity inside the box. And if he gets the first goal, then Ipswich do what they do. They just retreat into their back five. They've got centre backs who can protect the box very well. And from there on, it's very difficult, especially for a side like Bournemouth, who have this weakness, I would say, where you give them the ball and they don't really know what to do with it, considering they've got very quick players that love running into space, that sort of carry it and like creating chaos in transition. So if you take that away from them, becomes a little bit stale, and that's what happened in that game. So the last thing you want to do is like concede a early Liam Delap goal and then watch them sit back and watch us struggle against the kind of sides that we have. We've generally found no solutions to back fives. Luckily, Legia also came through with a back five. We struggled to do it for 45 minutes, and then second half we brought on the additional firepower, and that made the difference. So my advice would be to just go early. To give you context, and they've only 8 goals out of their 65 that they've conceded in the first half hour of games. And after that is when, the leaking happens post the 30-minute mark to the 90. So provided you can shock them in the first half an hour, get 1 goal, then it's progressively going to get difficult because they will have to come and play and they will have to come and step out. And that's something that they're not very good at doing. So, yeah, I think that's one note about Bournemouth. Saw the game against Forest as well and saw it till like 90 minutes. That's Forest went on to win that 4-2. And again, quite a tight game. Back five, Forest sort of struggling because Callum Hudson-Odoi and the wingers failing to break through that line of five. But yeah, it's just trying to cope with that back line and making sure that they're giving them enough trouble and enough reasons to think and step out of the box. I think that's going to be the big challenge for us.
And maybe just we know that kind of early reporting is that Amari Hutchinson would not be available. We know that Liam Delap has missed training this week, but recording this ahead of the press conferences from the managers for the respective sides. It does feel as if we'll see Liam Delap play. I mean, I don't. He feels like a gamer to me, and that he is going to pop up and be an absolute menace just because people want the opportunity to compare Nico Jackson to Liam Delap with all of the rumors now surrounding him and Chelsea's and other teams' presumed interest in the player as a striking contender for next season.
I mean, it's his Chelsea audition at Stamford Bridge, so why wouldn't he turn up? I think it's every incentive that you can give him to come and perform, and he did very well in the reverse fixture, so probably will have a good time out of it here. So he scored really well. Think I've enjoyed watching him play. Obviously, a couple of things that he can improve, but he's so young, and we also have to remember he's got 12 of Ipswich's 30 goals this season, so that's almost
Yeah.
half. So if he doesn't turn up, and they're also losing scorer number 2 and scorer number 3. Sammy Smodits is next with 4, Hutchinson with 3. So if you add those up, that's 19 of their 30 goals evaporated if Delap doesn't turn up. So I don't think there's any chance. If he's on one leg, he will play.
Well, I don't think that that's what we want potentially if he is to be our next season striker for him to be on one leg. But if we can mute him on the day, that will be beneficial to us. We know that in the midweek fixture against Legia, we saw a couple players like Cole Palmer and Tosin come off, and we did get the reporting after the game that that was planned substitutions by Enzo Maresca to keep the players fresh. I think there was good rotation within that game. It did feel as if maybe a little bit learned from what happened and what transpired over the weekend heading into this midweek. And now with this weekend fixture, would have loved, obviously, the win against Brentford this weekend, but the results in the conference league, and then also what that then allows Maresca to have in terms of his complement of players heading into this game, it does feel as if we are poised to be pretty fresh heading into this one, Sam.
I sure hope so. I mean, um, we are quite fortunate to be in a competition where the quality drop off doesn't matter. Like I was dreading it. I saw okay, Jackson not starting again, and Kunku twice back to back at number 9. No surprise that Maresca's just done it every single time and just failed at it. There's nothing coming out of Nkunku when Maresca keeps at it. Neto was benched. I thought he would start at 9, but at the end, like because Legia just played horribly and we got that 3-0 lead, I think now you can afford to also take that into optics and say, okay, the reverse fixture becomes easier, like you mentioned. Maybe there's a whole lot of rotation. You give Tyreek George, you give Achimpong, complete 90s. You rest Enzo and Caicedo again, and you can go with the same midfield. So that's definitely a luxury to have. Very good call resting Enzo and Caicedo, who I think have had some very hectic trips to South America and back. So overall, yes, in terms of from a fatigue perspective, it is very, very important that for the final 7 to 10 games, depending on how far we go, you're super well rested. So could pay off in the end. So bold move from Maresca. Commend him for it, and hopefully Nico and the gang will be fresh for this one.
And we know that was Fafana, Mark Guiu, obviously Mudrik, and most likely Lavia would be the contingent not available for this game unless any knocks have been picked up or any non-reported issues have popped up. I know you mentioned a few of the unavailables on the side for Ipswich. Any other thoughts? Maybe just then we kind of can transition to like how has the style of play changed? Obviously, McKenna was one of the names that was linked with Chelsea during our managerial search in the end of last season. Didn't end up going after him, went after Maresca instead. The what could have been type of moment has passed us by. How is he getting on, and how do you view this Ipswich side in terms of trying to effectively punch above their weight this season to have some or find some type of foothold as they've continued to struggle to maybe develop that consistency needed to go from 18th to 17th?
Yeah, I think it's a general trend in terms of championship sides coming up, and they've fared very, very badly. We see Southampton, who've already been relegated, Ipswich in the mire, Leicester also struggling. So it does look like there is a massive gulf in terms of the kind of football you can play in the championship versus the kind of spanking you receive if you try it in the Premier League. So just the same thing with Kieran McKenna. I think you've come in with a championship squad. You've tried to make some kind of upgrades, but they haven't been enough. And obviously taking a big, big gamble on Liam Delap and a couple of other young players like Omari Hutchinson, and hoping that kind of pays off in the Premier League, which for a young player like the age of 19, 20 to come in and immediately acclimatize to the Premier League, it's a huge ask, especially from like more than one player. So I wouldn't say McKenna's bad. I think he's quite talented. He has some principles that he's trying to employ, but there's always the issue of how much of it can you put together with a suboptimal squad. And I think that's the biggest issue for them. I think they have decent players, nothing that stands out in terms of individual brilliance except a couple of them. But the rest of the side is just average or below and probably belongs in the championship with all due respect. But yeah, they've beaten us 2-0, so I should probably shut my mouth there and just focus on the things that they do well and what we should try to exploit.
And then maybe kind of jumping into that more specific, do we want to kind of talk about just, have they made any changes to their style of play since last time we've seen them, or maybe other changes if they have not been watching as diligently as you have in preparation for this podcast, what's changed with this team, maybe structurally, or how much has stayed the same from the last time we played them?
Yeah, I think structurally, in terms of what the system is, it's still like a 4-2-3-1 against more adventurous sides, or at least sides where they feel like they've got a chance to get a point. But the out of possession structure is essentially the same. It's like a 5-4-1. They played that 5-4-1 against us, I think, knowing exactly that we struggled against that kind of setup and just did what they did. Like they gave us, I think, 74% of the ball that time and just waited, won a penalty, then got like 2 goals out of it, and we essentially managed, I think, about 2 xg that day and failed to get a single goal. So it was also sort of praying to the xg gods that your numbers don't pay off, but Hopefully, none of that will happen this time around. But it's still a 5-4-1 out of possession. It's what they use against sides they consider to be stronger. I would say the major pivot, like the defensive pivot, is the same. Jens Kajust, who came from Napoli, and Sam Morsy. These two guys are quite combative. They remain the same. But like we mentioned, Omari Hutchinson is injured out of on the flank. So what they've done is they've got Ben Johnson, who was actually a fullback slash wingback at West Ham, and he's playing in a weird winger defensive fullback kind of position where he doubles up as a wingback. So I wouldn't expect a lot of attacking threat to come from that side of the wing. From the right hand side, he's more of a trying to cut back, trying to hit the byline and cross kind of person, which is nice when you have Delap in the box. But don't think he himself individually is going to be a lot of issue in attack. And on the left hand side, they've got Brighton Loney Julio Enciso, who scored an absolute doozy against us a couple of seasons back. So he's somebody to watch. I would also mention that him and Morsi are quite good from range. They are very, very happy to take shots from 30, 35 yards. So if there's even a little bit of breathing room that they receive outside the box, they will take those shots. And Enciso in particular is very, very good. So try not to give them that. And in Ciso in particular, like he gets his layup off, try to get a shot away, just run at him as quickly as you can. Defensively, there are also a couple of changes. Last time, the defensive line that faced us, there's Cameron Burgess, who's in the center, and you've got Leif Davis on the left, who is quite this attacking fullback, very good at cutbacks, was performing superbly in the championship, was in, I think, double figures for assists quite easily, like about three-fourths of the way through. But there has been a shakeup in defense, like throughout. Connor Townsend is somebody who's been preferred over Davis. Feels like a more balanced fullback defensively. Davis is a little slow. So he's come in on the right hand side. Axel Tuanzebe, who was at Manchester United, is an addition on the right hand side. And I think Dara O'Shea is the only one who could feature and be the same guy who faced us in the reverse fixture. I would also say that the goalkeeper Palmer, he's come in for the injured Muric, who was tied with Robert Sanchez as one of the worst goalkeepers in the league for errors for goals. I think five each at one point in time. So he's been injured, and I think that's been a blessing for them because Palmer's actually good, very good shot stopping, and has pulled off some blinders. So it's something to watch. But like we mentioned earlier, Dan, it's the defensive line, because it's three centre backs, are quite old school. They're very good at defending the box. So if you try to cross too much to the guys like Nico Jackson or like Sancho at the far post, probably not going to work. So that's something that you have to consider. And up front, we all know it's Liam Delap. He's going to be the lone man at oftentimes because of the 5-4-1. He's trying to go up against one of the centre backs, will exploit whoever he thinks is the weaker centre back and try to bully them 1v1. Ipswich in general with their attacking play, they will try to target 2v2s, 1v1s, go long through the goalkeeper, through the defense. So provided like we're using the high line to kind of pressure them, that's something that you have to be careful about. I don't think Delap's pace is something that is um, quite an asset, like his acceleration in behind. So you can afford to be a little bit okay, but he's very physical. He loves those engagements. He's quite willing to get dirty with it. So that's something that you have to be careful about. But like we mentioned, if you take all control of the battering ram and remove his prowess from the game, then you essentially blunt majority of their attacking threat, considering scorer number two and number three are also out. So just take care of the lap, and everything else will take care of itself.
I mean, it does feel like that's easier said than done. It does feel as if we transition to this idea of weaknesses, and in a team that is just been promoted from the championship, that is going right back down next season, that there are going to be plenty to take advantage of and to exploit. It does feel as if the Liam Lap one is the most important for this Chelsea team within how Moises Caicedo and then whoever our kind of two central center backs are in this game. That is going to be where the game is won and lost. I mean, obviously, we want to hope that our attacking up front has improved, and we'll see a similar performance to what we saw in the midweek fixture of goals coming a little bit more easily, particularly in the second half of that game. But very much a don't allow Liam Delap to beat you, and this becomes a much easier game for our Chelsea team.
Yeah, definitely. I think those are just a couple of things that you have to take care of. And after that, I think you just focus on doing your basics, right? You've got the quality advantage, which is helped in the Conference League. So that probably comes into effect. And yeah, I think that's about it. And like I would probably just walk into the weaknesses in terms of what we something that I already mentioned, just the scoring perspective, making sure that you take care of Delap, like 12 goals there out of 30. So take him out of the equation. Hutchinson, Smodix not there. Hopefully Hutchinson not there. I don't know if he'll turn up, but that's a lot of their goals down. Make sure that the left hand side is something that you take care of. And CISO, I think, is going to be somebody who will cause issues along with Connor Townsend. So as long as you keep the left side quiet, I don't see where the goals are going to come from, except like a lucky set piece or anything of the sort. So just goal scoring wise, I don't really see what they're going to do. The second point I'd probably say is the centre backs are quite slow and probably very good inside the box, but outside it, especially when they're caught in transition, very, very poor. So try and run at them. I think if you can get the chance to isolate either Pedro Neto or Nico Jackson against one of the centre backs, you can do it. Cameron Burgess, in particular, is very, very poor outside the box. You can turn him, you can spin him, and you can cause a lot of issues, even in the back five. So, target Cameron Burgess, especially if Nico Jackson can, in particular, try and ease him out of the box. Then I think there's definitely a chance of us getting like a nice opening there. So that's something to take care of. The one major thing that I've seen tactically, Dan, is that they have arguably one of the poorest offside lines in I think all of Europe. They just don't know how to hold it. A lot of occasions where one of the players is just strayed like 5 yards further forward to the goal and played everyone on side. And this happens regularly on set pieces, on crosses. I don't think there's communication. I think there's a lot of panic. I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in terms of when to step up and when to just hold your line. And that's something that you try to exploit. If you can try and get a really good in swinging cross from the right hand side, whether it's Neto or Madueke, I think even with somebody arriving a little early, you can probably score a goal. So the offside line is something that I'll be keeping a very, very close eye on, especially like even inside the box. Just go for aerial deliveries, target everybody on the far post as much as often, try and get them to disrupt that line and essentially throw off their concentration. That works very well. Set pieces defensively, I think quite an issue. They have been troubled by aerial deliveries to the far post, in particular, especially corners and free kicks. So if you can try and get a free kick to somebody arriving at the far post to ping it back to the center, then I think you have a very good chance of making a set piece count. So, if I were to put out a bold prediction, maybe a Trev Chalobah goal coming somewhere like that, or maybe like him arriving at
Ooh.
the far post. Yeah, so I think that's definitely something that I would try and keep my money on. Trev Chalobah involved in a set piece goal is on my bingo. Yeah, and the last point, Dan, is I mean, this is just an underlying statement for me that it's a team with the second highest goals conceded, second highest shots conceded. So at the end of the day, do tactics even matter? I genuinely think that you should go into this game knowing that you have to do a job and you have to do it well because the goal difference with Newcastle, I think, has come to a point where it's getting a little too close for comfort. So you should be going out and essentially giving yourself the extra point by just demolishing them as much as possible. I think Maresca's message should be clear. You're well rested. You're up against a side that is going no way but down. You should be going out and absolutely grabbing 3 to 4 goals because this is a side that has conceded, what, 2 goals a game for 31 games. And you've gone and you've conceded two to them and you've scored none. So make up for it. Go and, make that, like, erase that result altogether and get 3 4 goals out of this game and set yourself up for the finish. So I think that's going to be the message from Maresca, hopefully, and we'll go and get that job done.
Well, that sounds good. I know this is usually the point in the episode where you like to flip the script and throw a couple questions my way, as if I were Maresca, which, yeah, sometimes you might want that job and that paycheck, and other times you may not. After Thursday, maybe you're feeling a little bit better. So hit me with one or two questions, and we'll try to frame what we think Maresca might do heading into this match.
Okay, so I think the first one is quite simple. We've all talked about Jadon Sancho's future at Chelsea, whether he's going to be a Chelsea player for long, Whether the form is good enough, whether the numbers are good enough. I think he's got what, 2 goals in the Premier League so far in 25 appearances, and he's been struggling, but hasn't like had one or couple of shots since Christmas, so not really offering anything from that respect. So, what is the play here? Do you give him a chance after he got 2 assists against Legia, or do you now go Madueke on the right hand side and Pedro Neto on his weaker side on the left? So, what are you thinking if you're Maresca?
Oh, I mean, I do feel as if he signaled a little bit by Nico being on the bench, by Caicedo being on the bench, Enzo being on the bench, Pedro being on the bench, that those were the guys that he was going to put in a position to start this game. And so I do feel as if it's a Nico, Nico starting, Pedro starting, Palmer starting in terms of I almost think Madueke should start after just what he did this past weekend. And so I think the Sancho thing is very interesting. And obviously, he looked much better in the second half, like most of the team did. And credit to him for sticking with it and to continue driving and putting himself in a position to contribute. I I just don't feel like it would be good business to take advantage of whatever dollars we have him available for as a permanent deal. I do think as if you might want to just pay to get out of that deal. Sometimes you get into this kind of catch that what, like he can still get better, he can still improve. Maybe it's just not going to be with us. Is what I would kind of frame there. If you think about his total kind of contribution at this point. Like we have Pedro Neto already. Pedro Neto has a similar level of output, maybe just a touch higher than what Jaden Sancho had this season. And so, I would say one of them you already have and own, and you should stick with that and be kind of happy with what you have currently, and then try to see if you can upgrade in that area. But yeah, I don't think I don't think Sancho would start. I think I would like to see more of Madueke in this game, particularly after his performance. I would ride with as many hot hands as you can to try to make this difficult for Ipswich from the start.
Yeah, that's an absolutely good answer there. And David mentioned this in the review pod, talking about whether it's a wingers thing or it's a Maresca system thing. Because if one winger is underperforming, you can understand. But if Pedro Neto is struggling, if even Tyreek George, who's quite good as a winger, is struggling, everybody that you've played on the wing is struggling, then is it just a system issue because you're not giving them the kind of support that they need? Like wingers get overlapping support from fullbacks, you get underlapping support from your midfielders. So maybe it's just Maresca playing extra safe, and those clean sheets that have now, I think, sort of started to notch up, and I think it's 2 goals now conceded in eight against, I would say, semi decent to poor opposition, but still quite a good run to embark on. So maybe that's the ploy there, and it's coming at the cost of wingers being, I think, underutilized and not really playing well. So maybe, who knows? Like Jadon Sancho under a different kind of system or a different manager goes and explodes. I just don't know whether it's going to be with us or beyond. So just a little stat there, Dan. Do you want to guess the last time both of Chelsea's starting wingers scored in a game?
Oh my gosh. Oh, that feels as if it's going to be way too far in the past. Like, is it almost even like a Pedro Willian type of stat? Like, I maybe things aren't as bad as I think they have been since that time, but it definitely feels like this is a gotcha stat, and so I'll probably say it's that combination, or maybe if Hazard was playing on the wing in a game, you could say that he was one of the goal scorers in that. But it does feel like it's been a while.
It has been a while, but do you want to take like a round figure, number of days kind of guess? How many days it's been?
Oh no. Here's the thing. Is
Uh,
it 3 digits of days or 4 digits of days?
three.
Okay. Give me 600 days as the line.
That's not bad at all. The actual answer is 516. The last time it happened was
Okay.
Yeah, the last time it happened was the 4-4 draw against City, where Cole Palmer played at right wing, so he went on to score.
Okay. There you go.
And yeah, so yeah, it's been quite a while. It was none of our wingers, like both of our starting wingers, haven't scored under Moresca, so that's been quite the quite the issue. I think for a guy who was talking about maximizing and isolating wingers, and both of his wingers getting about like 20 GA in the championship, it's just been quite a wake up call to see that both those guys are struggling for us in no matter what combination you put them in. So maybe it's just a system thing at the end of the day, and hopefully we can resolve that.
All right. As we get out of here, as we wrap on this one, we do always like to make some on the ledge predictions here, where we put ourselves out there and try to make a prediction just beyond the will Chelsea win or lose or draw, and try to come up with something a little bit more creative that may or may not happen. We've had a couple pay off, but it doesn't necessarily always pan out, but it does make it a little bit more interesting than just oh, so and so is going to score and here's the score line. What's your prediction for this one, Sam? And what's your on the ledge prediction too?
I have a couple. I would probably say that it's going to be a 4-1, 4-0 win for us. So I'm going big. I think the players will be up for this one. My big prediction, like I mentioned, one of those is Trev Chalobah, sort of involved in a set piece goal somewhere at the far post or somewhere, and maybe a corner purchase getting spun around by Nico Jackson, leading to a goal. Another one, and I'll put another bold one out there just in case I get the first two wrong. That Enzo Fernandez is going to have another game where he creates 6 or 7 chances. What about you? Do you have one in mind?
Oh, I think if we think about Chelsea's goal scorers this season, of which there are a few now at this point. It was a little touch and go there for us to get beyond the Cole Palmer and Nico situation here. But when you take a look at where everyone is, I mean, Mark Cucurella. Here's what I think is going to happen. Mark Cucurella is going to get into the double digits for goal contributions this season. I don't know if it's going to happen this game. He's on 8 right now across all competitions. I think he's going to get at least one this game to put him closer to that number and give him the opportunity to hit at minimum 10 across all competitions by the end of the season. I also think Pedro Neto is going to get one as well. So he will make it a little bit harder to catch up to him, but he will kind of transcend into that double digit figure as well for us in this game on a Chelsea win. I'm going to go 2-1 because Sanchez is going to be the goalkeeper and I don't trust him.
That sounds optimistic. I thought you were the optimistic one on the pod. And what happened?
I'm optimistic in predicting a Chelsea win against a team that beat us pretty handily earlier in the season. Not through, not without some questions about whether there should be penalties or whether there should, so there's a lot that went on in that game. I think a lot of it's been blocked out from people's memories, but there were some contentious elements in that game, and so we just need to go out and do the business. And I think predicting a Chelsea win right now, occasionally for some people, feels a little out of bounds. So predicting a win, predicting a 2-1, predicting Pedro Neto and Marc Cucurella being involved in the goals, I think that's on the ledge enough.
Liam Delap getting a goal, you think?
Yes, 100%. I think he will get his goal, and that will convince the sporting directors that he is the guy, and he will be our striker next season. Full stop.
Nice.
Which some people like and some people don't, and we'll have plenty to do in a player profile pod as we head into the summer. But that's going to do it for this match preview pod ahead of Ipswich Town this weekend on the Sunday. But hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you're staying safe and staying well. And until next time, Chelsea fans, you know what to do. Keep the blue flag flying high.